no amount of trying to get them to stop sending me
It's like my
emails.
first real job.
Stop the emails.
Okay, okay.
I would get a bunch of
too.
I mean, I guess so. But
Yeah.
it's not quite, it's not quite the same.
One time I popped in.
Oh, good, yeah, it's a good place to
Right
start.
after
You know,
the
commission, you get a,
billing
I mean, I would say we do,
And
people
they
don't realize
shared
this, one of the more
the
interesting
then
things is we
president's
regulate
email address.
Baltimore County,
And I was like,
Baltimore
oh,
City,
that
and
email
Hagerstown
address.
want to drive a cab.
Yeah, that's
You have to
yeah.
come to this commission. And that has been kind of more,
Oh, really?
well, because we pull their criminal record.
Okay.
And
That's probably more interesting.
my
to
son, who
see.
works a block away from here, you know, he works on the criminal side, so I'm always, he gives me an excuse to call him. I say, you gotta help me out here.
Right.
What does
Hey,
this
what
mean?
does this mean?
Because they have their jargon, as every
Yeah.
industry does. But it's kind of interesting, you know, I spent 30 years doing FERC
What
stuff.
does this
And now
mean?
I'm
Right
doing
now, you're like digging into
on criminal records.
seedy
I'm not-
underbelly.
It's kind of interesting. And then we do the water companies, we do a,
Yeah,
we actually
so-
have a bridge.
Yeah, there's one bridge.
We have one bridge in the state of Maryland, we actually regulate it.
Really?
Yeah,
Which
isn't that
one?
wild? And we just had a rate case, Old Town
Yeah,
Bridge.
yeah.
Fascinating. Like, one bridge in the state of Maryland, 75
Folded or
meters long.
something? There was a whole thing.
It was really weird.
Yeah.
You know, the problem with it, like a water companies, is gravity. In fact, we actually have to tell them to come in for rate case. Yeah, they're running out of money. We say, come in for a rate case. We want you to raise your rates because we don't want them to go to business.
Yeah.
You have that odd dynamic on the water and bridge side.
Yeah,
with,
so I
again,
have,
one bridge.
I'm now working on like the status listed water rate thing,
Right, right.
which is, it's just like a whole bunch of papers with like, on the napkin scribbled like receipts and like.
They
this
got
is-
the water companies lobbied in Annapolis.
It's just like a whole bunch of papers with like napkin scribbled like receipts and like.
Have it on WebEx, so that means the camera, this is gonna be camera looking at everybody, so you won't see my ugly mug. And I'll just record it and I'll try to record it, and I'll try and upload it after the fact. That's okay with everyone, so.
Fine with us.
Thank you, Marty.
Okay, we're back on the record. My apologies, we had some issues with YouTube, but I'm doing this on WebEx and with the plan of uploading it after, and I'm recording this again, and I will upload it after the hearing, just in case something happened with the first attempt to get this on, get this hearing moving. We did appearances, we entered the certificate of publication into evidence, and we're back now, 15, 20 minutes later. So, Ms. Erickson.
Okay. Your Honor, usually I would call Jesse Tayala to the stand. Do you need a copy of this testimony?
I appreciate everyone's patience. You just have to hit that button and make sure it's lit up green.
Looks good now. Can you hear me? Good.
Please.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly affirm under the penalties of perjury that the statements made in this matter today are the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Please state your name, spell your first and last name, and give us your business address.
First name Jesse, Jesse. Last name Tyala, Tyahla. Business address is 1 UGI Drive, Denver, Pennsylvania, 17517.
Great. I think counsel's got something for you, sir.
I have the direct testimony of Jesse Tayala. I'd ask you to mark as one,
Two?
two.
It's
For
okay.
identification.
All right.
Do you want to, you give that one.
Thank you, sir. All right, it'll be marked as Exhibit 2 for identification.
The reporter thinks that that's his copy.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got one more.
Do you need a copy of that, sir? Of the testimony?
I will take it.
Okay. Okay. You have enough, Ms. Erickson?
I do.
Okay.
No,
You're
it's
fine.
If you want it, you are welcome to it. All right, Mr. Tayala, do you have in front of you a document captioned in case 9516F entitled Direct Testimony and Exhibits of Jesse Tayala dated November 16th, 2023?
I do, yes.
Did you prepare this document, or was it prepared under your direct supervision?
Yes.
Does it consist of a cover page, 12 pages of question and answer testimony, and one exhibit?
Yes.
Do you have any additions, deletions, or corrections you would like to make at this time?
No.
If the questions were asked of you today as they are asked in this document, would your answers be the same?
Yes.
Do you adopt this document as part of your sworn testimony in this proceeding?
I do, yes.
Your Honor, UGI requests that Mr. Tile's direct testimony and exhibits be entered into evidence as UGI Exhibit 2,
Any objections?
No objections.
2 is admitted.
and the witness is available for cross-examination.
Mr. Miller?
No questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Albert?
No questions.
All right. I have a couple questions, but just if next time, if council coordinate, if you guys don't have any questions, just let me know, and maybe we can save a witness from coming down from Pennsylvania. Sir, on your load duration analysis you reference on page 5, and I understand you do that, UGI does that annually, is that correct, sir?
That's correct.
And how far out does that process go? Or how many years does it go?
So the load duration process consists of reviewing a winter period that would consist of weather events that would be typically our worst case event, which would mean the most load we would ever see in one typical winter. We look at the history of 20 years to see what weather events we would likely experience in that type of scenario, and then we extrapolate what our design day load would look like, along with the load of all of the winter period days, 151 days.
Right, and I guess my question was, I know you got 2 contracts based on that analysis, and one was more maybe 2024 to 2029, I
Yeah.
believe. I was just wondering if, obviously, you incorporate what you anticipate in the future.
We anticipate our distribution system to continue to grow. We don't expect it to decline in peak day usage or design day usage going out into the future.
Mhm.
So we don't look at that period beyond just the prompt winter period, because that's what we're planning for in the immediate term.
Okay, thank you, sir. All right, another question I have for you. On page 10, sir, and these are more just for my own edification. On table 2, you've got the certified gas purchases for the November 2022 through March 2023. And it looked like the cost, there was, at least it appeared to be, there was a pretty big fluctuation in the cost. Do you have any insight on why the large fluctuation, sir?
Yes, Your Honor. In the beginning half of the winter period for 22-2023, there was a substantial difference in the index price of the certified natural gas supply. Because of the certified natural gas purchase we executed, it was index-based, so there was some market fluctuation in the price of natural gas, which was included in the price of the certified natural gas. Had we purchased any other supply that was non-certified, the prices would have been nearly identical to what you see in the table here.
All right. Let's see. On the need for a cost-benefit analysis, I know it was cost neutral in this case. And in terms of moving forward, is it your understanding the requirement or suggestion to do a cost-benefit analysis would just be done, I guess, after this heating season? UGI would look at it and determine whether or not it was cost neutral?
Correct.
Moving forward? Okay.
Correct, Your Honor. Yeah, we review the cost and the benefits of the service. If it had no impact financially to the customers, likely would be unnecessary to perform a cost-benefit analysis, especially of the. I think you're referring to the renewable natural gas purchase.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, if there's no impact to the customer, we would consider that an unnecessary basis for a cost-benefit study.
Okay, so next year, if things were to change, we could anticipate the company doing some type of cost-benefit analysis.
Correct.
Okay.
That's reasonable.
All right, excellent. Last question I had, in terms of the RNG and the certified natural gas, do you know what impact, if any, they have on the environment or meeting the state's, Maryland's greenhouse gas goals and their climate goals?
Well, in terms of the impact goals to the states, either in Pennsylvania or in Maryland, the net benefit to UGI, because there's no actual retirement of the environmental attributes, speaking specifically of the renewable natural gas, that benefit isn't actually seen to UGI utilities, but it is seen to the entities producing and monetizing and marketing that those environmental attributes. So because we're not, those attributes are being sold to other parties and being marketed elsewhere, there's no actual benefit to the UGI utilities customers or the environmental statements from the state of Pennsylvania or Maryland this time. It does, however, offset the use of traditionally produced natural gas, which is the primary source of the heating supply for Maryland and Pennsylvania customers. So in that regard, it is using a resource that does not extract fossil fuels from the ground, and it's using an existing waste product to generate. At least the facilities connected to our distribution system now are using waste product to produce energy to service our customers.
Okay, so there's some benefit, but it's probably not a great.
It would be
benefit.
difficult. It'd be difficult for the utility to quantify
Sure.
specifically to the customers impacted.
Right. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions based on mine?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Miller?
No, Your Honor.
If I just ask a clarifying question. So, in other words, when you're buying the RNG, the producer of that RNG is saying is selling separately the environmental attributes. You're buying the RNG itself, and they're buying and separately the.
So the way that transaction is structured, the RNG is purchased, and the environmental attributes, they're also then resold to offset the increased cost of the RNG purchase. So the RNG purchase, including the environmental attributes, are then resold and marketed elsewhere. The utility then retains the value of those environmental attributes to offset the cost of the RNG.
So the utility does, in effect, buy the environmental attributes?
Correct. We do buy them. We then sell them to offset the cost of the RNG.
Oh, okay. So then there's not. I was going to ask if they're used for your renewable portfolio standard, but since you're reselling them to
Correct.
offset the cost. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, Your Honor, UGI calls Kim Basaninsky to the stand.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly affirm, under the penalties of perjury, that the statements made in this matter today are the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name, spell your first and last name, and give us your business address.
My first name is Kimberly, spelled Kimberly. Last name Basaninsky, Bassininsky. And business address is 1 UGI Drive, Denver, Pennsylvania, 17517.
Your Honor, I have the direct testimony of Kimberly Basaninsky that I would ask be marked for identification as UGI 3.
It'll be so marked. Thank you, ma'am.
All right. Do you have in front of you a document captioned in case 9516F entitled Direct Testimony and Exhibits of Kimberly M. Basaninsky, dated November 16th, 2023?
Yes,
Did you prepare this document, or was it prepared under your supervision?
it was.
Does it consist of a cover page, 4 pages of question and answer testimony, and 3 exhibits? Sorry?
One
One
exhibit.
exhibit?
Yep.
One exhibit.
Yes.
Do you have any additions, deletions, or corrections you would like to make at this time?
No.
If the questions were asked of you today as they are asked in this document, would your answers be the same?
Yes.
Do you adopt this document as part of your sworn testimony in this proceeding?
Yes.
All right, Your Honor, UGI requests that Ms. Basaninsky's direct testimony and exhibits be entered into evidence.
All right. Any objections?
None, Your Honor.
3 is admitted.
And the witness is available for cross.
Mr. Miller.
I have no questions for this witness, Your Honor.
Mr. Albert.
No questions.
I don't have any questions either, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Does that wrap it up for you, Ms. Erickson?
Yes, Your Honor, UGI has nothing
Okay.
further.
Mr. Miller?
OPC has no evidence or witnesses for this hearing, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Albert?
Your Honor, staff will be presenting 2 witnesses. We would ask first Evan Thomas to take the stand.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly affirm on the penalties of perjury that the statements made in this matter today are the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name, spell your first and last name, and give us your address.
My name is Evan Thomas, EvanThomas, and my address is 6 St. Paul Street, Baltimore, Maryland, 21202.
Thank you. Mr. Thomas, what are your job responsibilities at the Commission?
I'm a regulatory economist with the Telecommunications, Gas, and Water Division.
And what kind of analysis did you do in connection with your review of UGI's purchase gas costs?
I reviewed their testimony and responses to discovery and attempted to see if their purchasing and procurement activities were reasonable and competitive.
Now, you've prepared direct testimony in this case that was filed on November 29th, 2023?
Yes.
And you also, we'd ask that be marked as staff exhibit number 1, Mr. Thomas's public version of the testimony.
It'll be so marked.
And Mr. Thomas, you did submit a confidential exhibit as part of your testimony, is that correct?
That's correct.
We would ask that confidential exhibit be marked as exhibit 2C.
2C.
Add the C there to make sure that everyone realizes it is confidential.
All right, it'll be marked as 2C for identification purposes.
Do you have any revisions to this testimony?
No.
We would ask at this point, Your Honor, that we introduce into the record Mr. Thomas's staff exhibit number 1 and the staff exhibit 2C, the confidential.
Any objections to 1
No.
or 2C?
No objection.
None, Your Honor.
All right, they are admitted.
With that, staff would present the witness for cross-exam.
Okay. Ms. Erickson?
I have no questions.
Mr. Miller?
I have no questions.
All right. Very briefly, Mr. Thomas, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well. In terms of the cost-benefit analysis I was discussing earlier, is it your understanding that it's kind of a ongoing obligation on the company in the event that the purchase of renewable gas is not cost neutral?
That is how I was understanding it, and that's why I continued to mention it in my testimony this year. But so long as it's cost neutral, I see no reason for it.
Okay, excellent. That's all I have, sir. Anybody have any questions based on mine?
No.
No? Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Thomas.
Thank you.
And I did bring copies of his testimony. Would that be helpful for the reporter?
If so, please, you can give it to him. I have copies already.
You have copies, okay. Court reporter, Connie, I've got one other document.
Whenever you're ready, sir.
I'm sorry. Thank you, Your Honor. That concludes staff's presentation with its 2 witnesses.
You want to call Ms. Shea or
I'm sorry.
introduce her testimony unless there's a
Yes,
stipulation?
Mrs. Shea. No, apologies. Our second witness, and we would have to call to the stand Lucy Shea.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly affirm under penalties of perjury that the statements made in this matter today are the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Please state your name, spell your first and last name, and give us your business address.
My name is Lucy Shea, Lucyshea. My business address is 6 St. Paul Street, Baltimore, Maryland, 21202.
Ms. Shea, what are your job responsibilities at the commission?
I'm a public utility auditor in the Accounting Investigations Division. My primary job is to work on rate cases and monthly filings. I audit monthly filings.
Okay, and just in a very broad perspective, what kind of analysis did you do in connection with UGI's gas costs
Yeah,
to prepare your testimony?
UGI files monthly a PGA, Purchase Gas Adjustment filing. And I review it and recalculate it and ask questions and audit it. And if it appears to be reasonable, it's reviewed by my supervisor, and then it's accepted, authorized.
And again, you prepared testimony that was filed here on November 29th.
Oh, yes.
Any revisions to that testimony?
No.
And then you filed the next, I think it was the next day, a missing page from one of the data responses that was attached to your
Yes.
testimony, correct? Your Honor, we would ask that Ms. Shea's testimony be marked as Staff Exhibit 3. Yes, if that's okay, Your Honor, instead of giving it a separate exhibit number, and we would ask that Staff Exhibit 3, Ms. Shea's testimony, be introduced into the record.
All right, any objections to staff 3?
No.
No, no.
All right, it's admitted.
And with that, staff would present Ms. Shea for cross-exam.
Thank you. Ms. Erickson?
I have no questions.
Mr.
I have no
Miller?
questions.
All right. I have no questions either, Ms. Shea. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Do we have anything else? Ms. Erickson?
No, Your Honor, although given the lack of cross-examination, I would ask whether we would be open to the possibility of presenting witness testimony next year by video or waiving witness testimony altogether, and whether you would have a desired procedure for such a request. Assuming that there are not major issues that needed to be discussed.
Yeah, I'm certainly open to that. I do think it's good to have you guys come down. The company come down. My apologies. Certainly, occasionally. I'm not opposed to it. Mr. Miller, Mr. Albert.
I have no opposition to it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the ordinary case, the overwhelming number of circumstances, like staff would be fine, even if there are a few questions that could be done. We're all sort of familiar with the virtual. Obviously, we'd like to take it on a case-by-case approach.
And, yeah,
but we do agree that, and I'll apologize on behalf of staff. I probably should have thought of that a week or so ago.
No,
to,
that's fine.
approach the parties.
And I think, Ms. Erickson, you might probably have an idea as to, if there's going to be any issues, when the case ultimately gets scheduled.
Right.
So I think maybe you can coordinate with the parties and see if anyone has an objection to that.
Do you have a time frame when you would like to be receiving the requests?
I guess maybe when we establish a procedural schedule.
Okay.
Is that too late?
Probably would require this, maybe after UGI files its testimony.
Sure.
It still would be probably several weeks before the hearing.
Right. And in terms of the scheduling for next year, did the scheduling work out okay in terms of filing the testimony?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that works.
The only concern I'd have is the advertising.
Okay.
It depends on when UGI files, just to ensure you get that it's going to be a virtual hearing in your advertisement. But if you did it a month or so out, I think that would probably give you enough time.
End of November? Yeah, I think we did it sort of mid to
Okay.
late November this year,
Okay.
so there's probably enough time to
Okay.
do that.
Okay, sounds
Okay,
good.
Great, appreciate that, Your
All right,
Honor.
sure,
Thank you.
absolutely. All right, anything else?
That's all for staff.
All right, no briefs?
No briefs.
Okay, all right,
Rarely
great.
brief.
All right, thank you very much, everyone. Have a great holiday.
Thank you.
you.
You too.
All right, we're off the record.
Your Honor, I think that the YouTube, the sound was working, because my colleague said that he could hear us, but not see us.
Yeah, it was ticking away, but for whatever reason.
home watching?
Tim.
He's like, I can hear it. We're all used to watching videos with people don't have their camera on. It's really not different.
Thank you.
Snow coming up. We had our first little snow.
I know. Even down in Severna Park, there was snow, which is
Yeah.
we don't usually get much down there.
Yeah, well, last year, we'll never be able to beat last winter. First winter of my life where I didn't have to pull out the shovel. And I don't know if that's good news for the planet and good, bad news for the planet, good news for